energized and ready for what's in store for you in the second day. So before we officially begin, I would like to say that we are all thankful and grateful for our keynote speaker today that to agree to be with us today, even though he's still recovering from being a little under the weather and may have lost your voice a little bit. So thank you very much. So to begin, please welcome Dr. Larry Persons, founder and CEO for CQ, Leadership Consulting, and instructor for Sassin Graduate Institute of Business. So please welcome.
Good morning. Do we have sound? Thank you for the invitation to speak this morning. Thank you for your patience. With my voice, I normally sound much more masculine and ready to go in the morning, but I am excited about what we are going to consider this morning. What's a good leader? I mean, what are the characteristics of a person who really leads well? We have a room full of experts here. Well, it may not be full, but we've got a room with a lot of experts here. And certainly if we were to combine our research and our experience this morning, we could describe a prototypical leader who, from whatever angle you might view him or her, would be destined to lead well. Intuitively, that seems possible. Unfortunately, it's an exercise in futility. Why? The question, what's a good leader, is just not very fair. It so entices us to rush off in pursuit of some holy grail of leadership that we miss the whole point of the question. There is an obvious answer, and it can be spoken in two words. It depends. It depends. It depends entirely upon the context in which a given leader is attempting to lead. This is why we cannot master the subject of leadership without becoming students of culture. Let's remember this. In 1996, Bill Gates famously predicted that content was where the real money was going to be made on the internet, and he spoke these famous words, "Content is king," familiar probably to all of you. 22 years later, we are drowning in an infinite ocean, seemingly helpless to escape that information for even seconds of a day. Smartphones dinging, billboards flashing, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, they're all distracting us and absorbing us, some more than others. And companies are making billions upon billions of dollars selling content. It seems fair to say content is king. But that's an incomplete thought. Gary Vaynerchuk, a Belarusian-American entrepreneur, completes the statement well when he says, "Content is king, but context is God." While I don't agree with his claim metaphysically speaking, I wholly agree with his point, and that is this: great content is predicated upon context. Great content is predicated upon context. Now, his application is directed toward marketers. He says things like this: listen, marketers, respect the psychology of what people are doing when they're on your platform. He says, I know a 40-year-old woman who is on Facebook has a different mindset than when she's on Pinterest. And that's how I storytell to her. I know on Pinterest she has the intent to shop, and on Facebook she is keeping up with her world. So I strategize around that. So respect psychology of what people are trying to do on that platform. 2, he says respect your audience. You have to put out content that she will like rather than content that you like. The third thing he says is don't interrupt the audience. This is one of my favorites. If someone is watching a video, the last thing they want to sit through, he says, is an ad and wait to see what they really wanted to see because of something you forced them to watch. How many times have I been there? Talk about repelling customers. For marketers, this is a reminder to be customer-centric or be nothing at all. For leaders, this is a reminder to be follower-centric. And that means we've got to understand, respect, and leverage the deeply held cultural values of people waiting to be led. The true value of content is judged in the crucible of context. And that is why, as a student of leadership, I am so keen to understand the cultural context of every act of leadership. The Scottish psychiatrist R.D. Laing once wrote this: "The range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice, there is little we can do to change until we notice that failing to notice shapes our thoughts and our deeds." And someone here is saying, I should have had that third cup of coffee. So let's go over that again. The range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice, there is little that we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and our deeds. You know, we academic researchers sitting here this morning ought to embrace this slice of wisdom with ease, more than most people. We are taught from our earliest days about research bias, about the need to continually resist the urge to let our cognitive and affective biases lead us to perceive only that which we are conditioned to perceive. Sherwood Lingenfelter, my beloved PhD mentor, relentlessly reminded me, do not overlook conflicting data. Pay attention to them. Always attempt to disprove your findings. Why? Because research, data analysis, and writing are profoundly limited by what we fail to notice. So as we continue to fill this world with millions of books and journals and articles and blogs and TED Talks and YouTube clips on best practices in leadership, what is it that we are failing to notice? As global marketers are seduced, these leadership gurus are seduced into making world tours and getting their best-selling books translated into as many languages as possible. What is it we are failing to notice? Culture. Culture. Wild differences in the cultural contexts of leadership. The renowned Globe study investigated the relationship of culture to conceptions of leadership. This colossal research project, and I hold it up here, I may have to see the chiropractor after I lift it. This colossal project here had 170 investigators, 62 cultures, testing 27 hypotheses,